What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. How are y'all doing? We got the kitty helping us today. Bean's up here. Bean, what are you doing? Huh? She'll run down in a second. Listen, we're going to talk today about Ele Shaman. We're going to continue with the Shaman talent trees for Dragonflight, and we're going to do Ele Shaman. And I got a bunch of notes that I want to talk about today here. By and large, guys, the Shaman trees are pretty good. They're pretty well put together. The class tree in particular, I think, is really strong. I think actually Max, I was looking at Max's stream the other night, Liquid Max. He had a couple really interesting things to say that some of the best trees that have been made so far, the bottom of the class tree, the capstone utility, the capstone things are all utility. Capstone nodes, they're all like utility. They're not throughput. So I think it's why we see like the hunter tree is more frustrating for people because they don't have like the hybrid nature of like a shaman or a priest, and they don't have as many tools as like a rogue, so they can't have capstones that are just utility based. It's all like there's DPS increases there, and for some reason that seems to be creating more tension. So we'll have to see. Hopefully they can fix that for the hunters and the other classes and sort of learn from the talent trees that they've been making. But Blizzard has definitely already been learning. You know, the talent tree here for the shamans is absolutely incredible. It's one of the best ones they've made. I think it's better than the rogue one, actually. And the evoker one is also quite strong. So I think they're learning. You can see the layout of these trees are just better. Look how many 3-point nodes are here for Ele Shaman. That's right. There's zero 3-point nodes. So I think they're learning, guys. We got to give them a little bit of time. It's only the second week of alpha. And yeah. So let me build out the class tree. Hey, listen, can you stop whacking me with your tail? Let's build out the class tree for Ele Shaman. You're going to basically start over here, of course, with your Lava Burst. I do think you're going to want potentially Frost Shock and Hex. You could go through Focused Insight if you want to give yourself some more self-sustain, some more healing. This is really incredible, actually. This is like Unleashed Life, basically, for everybody. When you cast Flame Shock, your next heal is increased by 10%. Sorry, mana cost reduced by 10%, and its healing goes up by 30%. So, very, very good. But instead, you could go Hex, Frost Shock and Hex to get some more utility, which is very good. You're going to want Astral Shift and Wind Shear. Probably want Plains Traveler, and you want Spirit Walker's Grace for Ele. Go down here. Let's get Graceful Spirit. Get your defensive. You always want damage, leech, and then defense down here. And you're going to want Lightning Bolt damage. You're also going to want Nature Crit over here. Critical strike chance of your nature spells by 4%. That's Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Earth Shock. Very, very strong. Okay. Then I always take Spirit Walk here. I know people want Gust of Wind. I understand that. I totally understand why. I'm just, I don't think I need it. I would rather have the utility of Spirit Walk, but this is honestly a choice, guys, for you. This is just a preference choice. I think you can just, whatever you prefer to have. If you really want the new Gust effect, go for it. If you want Spirit Walk, go for it. Now, we need to fill out this tree a little bit. 2 more points. Ankh is fine. 10% more health is really good. Or you could go like Wind Rush and Nature's Guardian. Get that DR right there. It's up to you, really. And then you're going to want Nature Swiftness, Thunderstorm, and then Lightning Lasso or Thunder Shock, depending on, like, if you're doing Mythic Plus. This is really a good toss-up here. I think Lightning Lasso is actually a lot of damage. I think some people are, like, undervaluing how much damage this thing's going to do. Especially given the fact that you can cool down you can get the cooldown of Lightning Lasso down with Flash of Lightning. We'll get to that a little later. But this is a nature spell. It does nature damage. So this can get cooled down with Flash of Lightning. So we'll have to see how much that matters. Like maybe this becomes a 30-second cooldown instead of a 45-second cooldown. In which case, is it then, you know, higher value? So, but you got to pick between the CC here if you really need it. Sorry, something's on my nose there. Or the damage. Then I really think, depending on the build you're doing, you have 8 points left. So I really think you're going to want Call of the Elements. Specifically for Liquid Magma Totem over here. That's the main synergy there, is just Liquid Magma Totem. If you're not doing like a Mythic Plus Fire build, then you maybe don't need Call of the Elements, but your team might still want it for other totems. And if you're not going to run over there right away, you can come down and grab Swirling Currents and grab Ancestral Guidance. Ancestral Guidance is incredibly good. It's very, very strong healing, especially in Mythic Plus. It's got an amazing amount of throughput on healing in Mythic Plus. So this is quite good. But the options are up to you guys. You got 4 more points here. Like, honestly, you probably want... if you need to get a Curse Dispel, grab that. If you need a Fear Dispel, grab Tremor Totem. If you need more defensives with Nature's Guardian, if you want Onk, get Onk to get 10% more health. You know, if you need a Poison Cleansing Totem, grab it. If you need a physical damage reduction totem, get Stone Skin Totem. It's really up to you. If you want 4 seconds off all your totems, that's fine. It doesn't really affect Liquid Magma Totem. You're only getting, it becomes a 56-second cooldown instead of a minute. Not a big difference there. If you want some sustain, I think Earth Ellie's probably required to a degree. And then you could grab Earth Shield if you want. I'm just going to fill this out. I'm going to go grab personal stuff. Where's the... We got this, we got this. I have 1 point left. I'm just going to go with extra Spirit Wolf movement speed. There's the defensive there and speed. So there you go. That's like a typical Ellie tree. If you're doing Mythic Plus with the fire build, you want Call the Elements, okay? So you might scrap the Spirit Wolf, and what was the other points that I was putting in? Maybe you scrap this here. You kind of want that, though. There's a way to get down there. I'm not sure what you'd have to sack, actually. I probably put, Earth Shield and Earth Ellie. There you go. Something like this, guys. You can build it however you want. That's the idea, though. Let's jump over to the spec tree. And let's talk about how it's structured first, because that's always important to understand. And we'll talk about we'll go down each side of the tree. Well, not each side, but left side, middle, and then we'll go down the right. Left side is kind of like lightning spells. Stormkeeper. Yes, you have second Stormkeeper down here. And as well, you are going to have Lightning Rod. There's Echoes of the Great Sundering. So you got like a lightning/physical down here. The middle has got like a bunch of buffs for you. And also a new ICEFURY build, which is very cool. You got Prime Wave. So like buffs and cooldowns. ICEFURY is a cooldown. Prime Wave is a cooldown. And then you have buffs to all your other abilities. The right side is fire. It's all fire. And I don't just mean like it's really, really good, which I think it is. I think the right side of the tree is really good, but it has fire-related abilities. So let's get to it. Let's jump in the left side of the tree. Let me just check something here. Yeah, okay. Left side of the tree, we're going to get down to Flash Concentration. Before we get there, the top part of the tree is interesting. You basically have to take everything up here. Like, more or less. You need to pick 8 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can get 7, 8 right here, or I can get 7, 8 right here. So, I mean, it's whichever build you're doing. If I'm doing a lightning build, then I want to probably go down the middle, and then I've got this side here. If I'm doing a fire build, I probably want to scrap this lightning stuff and go down this side and get the fire started. You see what I'm saying? You probably always want to go down the middle. Very, very likely that you always want to go down the middle, because you're going to be able to pick up so many good buffs in here. Master of the Elements is one of them. But let's pretend we're doing like a lightning build. We're going to go over here and get Tumultuous Fissure. So this makes Earthquake, instead of having a 5% chance to knock enemies down, it has a 7.5% chance to knock enemies down. Buffs to lightning damage, very good. Lightning Bolt generates Maelstrom, cool. First Stormkeeper. Then we have Flash of Lightning, and I wanted to talk about this again. I believe that this cools down multiple abilities. Number one, it's going to be like Thunderstorm, and I think Nature Swiftness, because it is a nature spell itself. I don't know this for sure, but I'm thinking that this is going to cool down. It cools down your nature spells. So you're talking like Nature Swiftness maybe, definitely Thunderstorm, definitely Lightning Lasso, and then if you're just doing a Thunder, if you have this as your CC, then you're getting extra cooldown on Thunderstorm. This is actually very strong for Thunderstorm. Again, the knock-up from Thundershock is a new buff to Thunderstorm, and it also makes it a 25-second cooldown, and then you can bring that down even further with Flash of Lightning. So maybe this is like a 10 to 15-second cooldown. 10 to 15-second AoE knock-up. That's pretty strong. That's really strong. Or Lightning Lasso is more like a 30-second cooldown instead of a 45-second cooldown, something like that. Eye of the Storm is here, which is pretty awesome. You get 10 Maelstrom off of Earthshock and Earthquake, or 15 Maelstrom off Ele Blast, which I'm not going to recommend you ever take, but that's something there. Now, if you're going left to the lightning build, you need to spend 7 more points, man. So there's a lot you need to pick up here. And you're probably going to pick up all this stuff in the middle. And then you can either choose to get an extra cooldown with ICEFURY or get Lava Surge. It's up to you. It depends what you think you're going to be doing. Let's just go for ICEFURY right now. And we'll do Flux Melting. I'll talk about that in a minute. Now you've unlocked the bottom part of the tree. You've got a choice between Ele Blast and Wind Speakers. My assessment of Ele Blast right now, and a lot of people's assessment of Ele Blast, is that it's just not good enough to warrant what it costs to cast this spell. It's a 2-second cast, which is fine. It costs 90 Maelstrom. Earthshock only costs 60. Obviously, you're reducing that here, so you can reduce it to 75 Maelstrom for Ele Blast or 50 Maelstrom for Earthshock and Earthquake. But it just doesn't feel like the payoff is there. This only does 175% of your spell power. Earthshock does 100% more damage. It does 273. It's almost 100% more damage. So I don't know why I'm spending 90 Maelstrom to do 100% less damage. The stats that it gives you are not strong enough to warrant that. So I'm not really sure. There are other buffs to Elemental Blast, like Echoes of the Great Sundering, for example, which is right here. Echoes of the Great Sundering damage goes up. Your Ele Blast makes your next Earthquake do 140% more damage instead of 120, but it's only 20% more damage, which it's not bad. I'm just saying, again, I don't think those buffs really warrant choosing Elemental Blast over Earthshock. Having to build up all the way to 90 Maelstrom every time you want to use this sucker is pretty rough. Now, there is some good synergy with Nature's Swiftness, which means you can Nature's Swiftness an Ele Blast, and it costs nothing. So what you could do is you could build up to 50 Maelstrom. You Nature's Swiftness an Ele Blast for free, because it's free, right? Then you have your Echoes of the Great Sundering Earthquake ready to go, and you can instantly cast it because you built up to 50 Maelstrom. And you only have to get 50, right? So you do builders, maybe a Stormkeeper, Chain Lightning, gets you to 50 Maelstrom right away. Then you Nature's Swiftness, Ele Blast, Earthquake. And you've immediately got your Echoes of the Great Sundering build going in an AoE situation. This is Mythic Plus, of course. That would be kind of cool. But that's only once per minute. And then the rest of the time, you're stuck having to cast a 90 Maelstrom Ele Blast. It just doesn't feel like it's worth it. So I think if they dropped the Maelstrom cost on this to like 70 or something, I don't know. Just make it like slightly more expensive than Earthshock. I don't know why it has to be 90 Maelstrom. The buffs that you're getting for this, for having this, are just not good enough. Final capstone note here is, of course, a second charge of Stormkeeper, which I believe Stormkeeper will always also get cooled down by Flash of Lightning, so keep that in mind. Stormkeeper is likely going to be a 45-second, maybe a 40-second cooldown instead of a 1-minute cooldown, and you can have 2 of them. So that's very, very strong with Flash of Lightning. Or you can do the new ability called Lightning Rod. This was an old ability that's come back. I think it was in BFA. Earthshock and Earthquake and Ele Blast make your target a Lightning Rod. Lightning Rods take 25% of all damage that you deal with Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning. All damage. I'm assuming that means overloaded damage as well. So this looks interesting on the surface. It kind of gives you the ability to funnel your damage for free. So like, there's a big AoE pack, and there's a big dude in the middle that you want to kill. Think of, like, Gambit. All the Murlocs in the opening of Gambit, and you pull one of those big giants as well. Now you need to kill the giant pretty quickly, or you need to kill the Murloc that's going to put down fish sticks, right? You don't want that Murloc to put fish sticks down. So you hit that Murloc with an Earthshock, and now he's marked as a Lightning Rod. And then all the other damage that you're doing, including the damage you're dealing to that Murloc, you'll do 25% more damage with Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning. This does force you to be casting Chain Lightning a lot in AoE, which is fine. That's probably what you want to be doing if you're doing a Lightning build, right? So this actually fits in quite well. And you can just, I think you can have multiple Lightning Rods going at the same time. I haven't confirmed this, but I'm assuming because you can proc this with Earthquake. If you can't have multiple Lightning Rods going at the same time, this is probably just straight up bad. But if you can, then I think it's quite good. And it feels like you can get very specific funneled targets if you want to. You know, you could, let's say you have 50 Maelstrom just right off the cuff on a Mythic Plus fight, you can immediately mark an enemy, and then boom, you're doing lots of extra damage to them for 8 seconds. So I think it's good. We'll have to see how good it really is. A second charge of Stormkeeper is probably just better, but who knows? You never really know. That's the left side of the tree. Let's look at the middle. Let's look in the middle. Elemental Fury, this is a passive that you have. Primordial Fury makes your healing better, or Ancestral Wolf Affinity, which is actually very, very good. Both of these are strong. Master the Elements you can get right here, which is very good. That's shared a node, right? That's shared a row with Storm Elemental and Liquid Magma Totem, of course, which is, they're both here. So, 50 extra Maelstrom. I think this is quite strong, actually. Swelling Maelstrom is very good for Ele, because there's, especially if you're going like a double Stormkeeper route, there are often times when those overloaded Chain Lightnings will just give you so much Maelstrom, and you immediately go to 100. And then you press Earthquake, and your Aftershock kicks in, and you're back at 100 again, and you're like, oh my god, I can't spend this Maelstrom quick enough. Like, there are moments that are like that for Ele, right? So I think that this is nice. It gives you a bigger cap, which means you're not going to cap on Maelstrom nearly as much. And I think that's very, very good. So that's cool. Echo the Elements is here to give Lava Burst. This is kind of on the fire side, right? Of course. ICEFURY is here. Again, this base ability of ICEFURY is the exact same as live. However, there's a new buff to it called Electrified Shocks, and this is very, very cool. So ICEFURY causes your Frost Shocks to damage up to 4 additional enemies. So 5 targets hit in total. Your initial Frost Shock plus 4 more. Initial damage 4 enemies, and the targets hit take 15% increased damage from your nature spells for 4 seconds. Chain Lightning prefers targets with this effect. So you can, of course, do a double Stormkeeper build, or you can have a Lightning Rod thing. Let's just say you're doing double Stormkeeper. You do ICEFURY, and then you press Frost Shock into Chain Lightning, into like an overloaded Chain Lightning, right? So Stormkeeper, and then you ICEFURY into Frost Shock, Chain Lightning, Frost Shock, Chain Lightning. I mean, you're going to be capped on AoE right away. Capped on Maelstrom right away. But very, very cool combo, right? So you're just doing 15% more damage. Your Frost Shocks cleave, first of all, which is nuts. Your Frost Shocks are just cleaving because they're doing 225% more damage already, and they're cleaving, and now you're doing more Chain Lightning damage. So very cool synergy here. I love this. And another way to do damage in Mythic Plus, a new way. Probably less damage overall than maybe Echoes of the Great Sundering if you're in like an uncapped AoE situation like Gambit, like Halls of Atonement. But if you're doing a dungeon that's more like Theater of Pain, you know, the middle of the Mists of Tyrannus Scythe dungeon, this might be really good. This is 5 target cleave, and on top of that, your Chain Lightning is going to be doing extra damage too, so you can be casting Earthquakes, but you might not have to take Echoes. You can instead take Elemental Equilibrium and dump the Echoes effect, right? So now you're doing this ice build with Elemental Equilibrium, getting 15% more damage from that, 15% more damage from Electrified Shocks. Suddenly your Chain Lightnings are hitting very, very hard, right? That is the idea. I love this. I love the addition of it. Again, there's another build for enhanced Ele Shaman over here that's going to be really cool for Mythic Plus. They're giving you options for Mythic Plus in particular, and I really, really like that. Also, the added bonus of ICEFURY is the mobility that's baked into it, because Frost Shock is instant cast, right? So you can be like running around with Stormkeeper. You Stormkeeper, right? And you're running, and you press Frost Shock. It hits 5 enemies into a Giga Juice Chain Lightning, which hits a bunch of enemies and overloads. You get an Earthquake. You press Earthquake, which is instant. You don't have to be stand there and channel it. And then you go Frost Shock, Chain Lightning, Earthquake. So all 6 of those spells are instant cast spells. You can just run around like a maniac. So this can also be used very effectively as a movement cooldown when you need to continue to do damage, but you want to be moving. So I love that. Then let's keep going down the middle here. Aftershock is here. Very, very good. Same as live. A new effect is here called Power of the Maelstrom, casting Lava Burst has a 10% chance to cause your next 2 Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning casts to trigger Elemental Overload an additional time. An additional time. So if you're running like high mastery already and you cast Chain Lightning and it overloads once, it might overload twice. This is like a mini Stormkeeper, but it's proccing all the time. And let me remind you, a 10% chance might seem low, but Lava Surge is literally a 10% chance. And we get Lava Surge procs like quite frequently. So this is very, very good. I feel like this is kind of mandatory in almost every build. This thing is insanely strong. Okay, so you're going to take that, and then let's go down the middle. Echo Chamber increases the damage dealt by your Overload by 15%. Overload, if you don't know, does 85% of the original spell's damage. Now, it will do 100%. So that's really cool. Once again, if you're doing double Stormkeeper, you're leaning into this Overload effect really, really hard. That can be very powerful. Then, finally, Mountains Will Fall. This is a new passive. Earthshock and Earthquake can now trigger your Mastery Elemental Overload at 50% effectiveness. Overloaded Earthquakes do not knock anybody down, but that's okay. We just want the damage. So this is your Mastery Overload build right down here, and it's very cool. You can combine that with, again, Stormkeeper, which auto-overloads, and you could combine it with an ICEFURY build or do an Echoes of the Great Sundering build. We still have 3 points left, guys. There's other things we could put points into here, but this is very, very cool. I love the Mountains Will Fall buff. I think that it's very, very strong. It basically means that every spell you're casting can overload. Lava Burst can overload. Lightning Bolt can overload. Chain Lightning can overload. Now Earthshock, Earthquake can overload. I think ICEFURY can also overload. On live, it can anyway. So everything can overload. You're all in on your overloading, and it's a very, very neat idea. Okay? On top of that, Prime Wave is here. It's a slightly... it's the same, actually. The base ability is the same. Then you can get a 30% chance for it to not incur its cooldown. It says 15, but it's just bugged out. It's not working. It's 15 times 2. 30% chance for it to not incur its cooldown. And then, which is basically live. I think we have a higher chance now because of the scaling of the conduit. But then you have Splintered Elements, which basically is a nerfed version of the live. The live version is 10% haste per target hit for 12 seconds. This is 6%. So I actually don't think it's that terrible. It's actually still worth taking if you can spread a lot of Flame Shocks very quickly, which you're going to see on the Fire build we will be able to do. So I don't think this is good for any of the Lightning stuff. It's probably just not worth getting that little bit of haste. You're likely, you have better points to spend like on the Overload stuff or maybe getting Ascendance or something. I'm not really sure, but this is... very good for certain builds in the LE kit, just not necessarily for the Ice build or the Lightning build. Okay, but it's there, and I like that it's there. So let's go down the right side of the tree now. You're not doing Lightning stuff anymore. Let's say you're only gonna take, you're not even gonna take Eye of the Storm. You're just gonna maybe take Stormkeeper. You're not gonna take ICEFURY. We're gonna see about this in a second. Let's do the right side of the tree. Okay. So you got to go, you take Primordial Bond, which is 5% damage reduction while you have an LE active. And with this build, you're going to have Fire Elemental active like all the time. I'll show you in a minute. Lava Surge is here, of course. You're going to see with the other build, we didn't even take Lava Surge. So, actually, no, I might have taken it. I can't remember. I probably did. I think you probably need to take it for every build. Even if you're doing a Lightning build, I might have not shown you there. But basically, you're going to want to always take Lava Surge, which is... annoying because it means it's over here on the right-hand side. I think Blizzard was genuinely trying to get us to think about not taking Lava Surge if you're doing like a Lightning build, but I don't know if that's possible. Maybe it is. Maybe you don't really cast Lava Burst. You're just casting Lightning Bolt because Lightning Bolt will now generate extra Maelstrom. I don't know. I'd have to really look into that harder, but there might be a world where you do a Lightning build with no Lava Surge, but we'll talk about that later. Lava Surge is here. Echo the Elements is here. You're going to keep Aftershock, and I think you're going to keep Swelling Maelstrom, and you're definitely keeping Power of the Maelstrom. Here's the new Fire buffs coming in here. Call of Fire increases your damage of Flame Shock, Lava Burst, Lava Beam, a Fire Elemental by 10%. Boom, there you go. So this is the equivalent of this over here. Call of Thunder increases your Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, and Storm Elemental by 15%. This is like the equivalent over here. But you're going to get an additional 5% from improved Flametongue weapon. So imbues your weapon with Flametongue, increases your fire spell damage by 5% for 1 hour. So again, you're just getting more fire damage. Very cool. Here's a new passive, Flames of the Cauldron. Flame Shock's damage over time effect now occurs 15% more quickly. This can be combined with Fire Elemental for a 40% faster Flame Shock tick rate. So Fire Elemental in the base game right now doubles the duration of Flame Shock and makes your Flame Shocks tick 25% faster. They got rid of the doubling, and this could just be like, this might not actually be true because these aren't like final. You know, we're in alpha. I don't know if this is just a placeholder and they forgot to add in the double duration on Flame Shocks. I'm not really sure, guys, but just know right now that this makes Flame Shocks tick 25% faster, and this makes Flame Shocks tick 15% faster for a total of 40% faster Flame Shock ticking. That's really crazy. That's very, very fast. That was like a Torghast ability, basically. And now you're going to be triggering Lava Surge much, much more often because, yes, you only have a 10% chance to trigger Lava Surge, but it's going 40% faster. So it's like you're, instead of it ticking every like 1.5 seconds, it's going to be every 1 second, basically. You're going to cut that time almost in half. So it's just very, very fast how fast your Flame Shocks are going to be ticking. Then we've got Storm Elemental here. This needs to move. This is not good down here. It's here because you have Fire Elemental and it replaces Fire Elemental, and then you have Skybreakers, and it wants to benefit from Skybreakers as well. But it actually should just not be there. Skybreakers should just only work on Fire Elemental. That's honestly my opinion. Or you have to make Skybreakers do something extra for the Lightning side. So Storm Elemental, I think, should actually switch places with Flames of the Firelord, which makes your cooldown of your Flame Shock go down by 3 seconds. I'll talk about that in a minute. I think these should swap. These need to swap here. Because it means that it's closer to the lightning stuff. And it also means that it's still connected to Skybreakers. But it's not like blocking you from getting to Magma Chamber. Like it's just really far out of the way. It either needs to switch places with Flames of the Firelord, or they need to change how Storm Elemental works. Maybe move it to like this a center node right here all by itself. And then, like, it could still attach to Ascendance, and you could still work your way down to Skybreak. Like, I don't know. Even Ascendance doesn't make sense with Storm Elemental, right? Because that's focused around Lava Burst, and Storm Elemental is focused around Lightning and Chain Lightning. So I don't know why it's over here. Like, I know why it's over here in terms of, like, the line that it comes from, like Fire Alley, but they need to just make it a different button now. It needs to just be that you can have Fire Alley, and then Storm Ellie is like over here, and if you take Storm Ellie, it replaces Fire Ellie. They shouldn't need to be like connected on the tree. Like it just doesn't make sense. It's a really strange, archaic like way of thinking. I don't care if they're connected. They're completely different play styles. They use completely different buttons. When this thing is out, when Storm Elemental is out, I am not pressing any of my fire buttons ever. So I just don't get it why it's here. It needs to move. Please, Blizzard, move it. Now, Flames of the Firelord, this is 3 seconds off of Flame Shock. Flame Shock has a 6 second, it's 6 seconds right now. So 6 second cooldown. This goes down to 3 seconds. So this gives you an improved ability to spread Flame Shock. It's very easy for you to spread Flame Shocks now. Right? Which is very good. You don't want to spend all your time pressing Flame Shock, for sure. That's not what you want to be doing because it's not a lot of damage, but it gives you an easier way to spread Flame Shocks when you need to. On top of that, you can now take Liquid Magma Totem or Primal Elementalist. We're going to look at Liquid Magma Totem for today. Primal Elementalist does exactly what it did before. Liquid Magma Totem is going to be here. So here's what it does. This thing is new. Like they've revamped it, and I love it. I love it so much. Summons a totem at the target location that erupts, dealing 40% spell power damage, and applying Flame Shock to 3 enemies within 8 yards. Continues hurling liquid magma every second for 6 seconds for a certain amount of damage to all enemies within 8 yards. So this is uncapped AoE, by the way, to go along with your Earthquake that you've already got uncapped AoE for. On top of that, this does a big burst of damage at the beginning, and it spreads 3 Flame Shocks, which it obviously never used to do that before on the live game. This is a vast improvement from what it is on the live game. I have a lot of things to talk about here. Number 1, you can do a Liquid Magma Totem Mythic Plus build, like a fire build, okay? So just for the sake of showing you this, you take Skybreakers down here, which gives you 50% crit on your Flame Shocks. You, on pull, you pop Fire Ele into Liquid Magma Totem, which is going to give you 3 Flame Shocks. You press your own Flame Shock, and then you Primordial Wave. We're going to go down here and finish this out right here. So now you have 3 plus 4 plus 5. 5 Flame Shocks out. Oh, and then I have to get rid of Stormkeeper, I think, right? I think that's what I have to do to get Ascendance. I forget what I did. I did something else here. Anyway, I can't remember what it is, but you obviously wouldn't take this either. Here's the point. You go Fire Elemental into Liquid Magma Totem, Flame Shock, Primordial Wave. You got 5 of them out, and then you hit Ascendance. Or you try to take Deeply Rooted, and you hope to get a proc on Deeply Rooted, okay? Then you got Meatballs flying out at all those targets. Your Flame Shock, your Liquid Magma Totem has just finished doing all of its damage, and it's done a lot of damage already. You're doing extra fire damage because of improved Flametongue and because of Call of Fire. You're getting Lava Surge procs like crazy, and you're just launching lava bursts over and over and over again, and you're hoping to trigger deeply rooted elements. And if you do, you're going to get another volley of lava bursts. And then if Tumbling Waves happen to reset the cooldown of Prime Wave, you get another volley of lava bursts with Prime Wave. And you're getting all the haste from Splintered Elements, which would be 5 times 6 is 30% haste. That's literally Lust. You're getting a Lust every time you do this. So very similar to how it works on live, but with this addition of Liquid Magma Totem, you can instantly spread 3 extra Flame Shocks, which is not it doesn't work on live right now. It doesn't work like that on live. So this is like a Mythic Plus Flame Shock build that will spread Flame Shocks very quickly, do a lot of fire damage, cool down Fire Elemental very, very quickly, so he's never off. Your Flame Shocks are all ticking 40% faster, and they're all have 50% crit. And then you launch Meatballs, and you keep fishing for deeply rooted elements to get that proc on Ascendance to get more Meatballs throwing out again. On top of that, if this wasn't good enough already, there's another talent here called Searing Flames. Flame Shock has a 100% chance to generate 2 Maelstrom. That's, as far as I understand, that's for every Flame Shock you have out, it will generate 2 Maelstrom every time it ticks. Every time it ticks. Remember, it's ticking 40% faster, which means you're generating passively a ton of Maelstrom. It's like if you have 5 targets, it's 10, right? If you have 6 targets, it's 12. It's like 10 or 12 Maelstrom every second. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Earthquake, 10, 20. I'm not even accounting for the fact that I'm pressing Lava Burst, which is also generating 10. So it's like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, boom, Earthquake, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, Earthquake. Like, it's just like, that's how fast it's going to go. I guess I don't have the Eye of the Storm, so I'd have to get to 60. But that is how quick it's going to go, and I think it's really, really interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't even need to take these 2. What else would I take? Oh, wait, bricked my build. Right, I do have to take them. Another way you could build this is also take ICEFURY if you want to, and then take Flux Melting. Then you have access to all your stuff down here. You go Deeply Rooted, Prime Wave, and then you take this, and you take Liquid Magma Totem. And then I still have a point. I have 1 point. Right, I could put it into Oath of the Farseer. We could get Elemental Equilibrium. Probably 7% haste is good. So this is a very cool fire build that is from Mythic Plus that really revolves around getting that Liquid Magma Totem down and then spreading those Flame Shocks and then getting big procs on Deeply Rooted. Now, here is one really amazing thing about this build as well. One final note is that you can take Call of the Elements. And I don't know, I was watching some streamers talk about Ele Shaman last night, and I was really disappointed with the fact that they didn't bring up Call of the Elements because it seems like a no-brainer to me. This thing is insane. You can take Call of the Elements with Creation Core, which gives you an additional use of this. This can cool down Liquid Magma Totem. It's a less than a 3-minute cooldown. It resets the cooldown of your most recently used totem with a base cooldown shorter than 3 minutes. That's Liquid Magma Totem. So, like, you cast Liquid Magma Totem. It does its damage. You add a Flame Shock here, Primordial Wave here, Lava Burst. Try to get the proc on Deeply Rooted. Lava Burst, Lava Burst, Lava Burst, Earthquake. Lava Burst, Lava Burst, Earthquake. Lava Burst, Earthquake. Liquid Magma Totem goes down. You put Call the Elements, and boom, you get another one. Pop another Liquid Magma Totem. It's spewing uncapped AoE damage, and it continuously adds more Flame Shocks. And you keep fishing with Lava Burst. Lava Burst, Lava Burst, Earthquake. Lava Burst, Lava Burst, Earthquake. And then you can do it a 3rd time if you wanted to. And maybe you save that third charge for the next pack. But like every single pack, you're going to have Liquid Magma Totem basically ready to go. And I just think that this is like incredibly strong. And I think people are sleeping on this interaction here in terms of the AoE damage that this sucker is going to put out. So I really think this is a strong, strong combo. I think when I get my hands, when the game goes live, I'm definitely going to run an Ele Shaman and try this fire build out. Again, the last 2 points are kind of up to you where you want to spend them, but it's either here or here, I think. But I think this is a really interesting idea. It's a really interesting build, and that is Ele Shaman in a nutshell. You've got lightning builds over here, double Storm Ele, Stormkeeper, sorry. That is going to get cooled down by Flash of Lightning. I think Flash of Lightning is also going to cool down Thunderstorm and Lightning Lasso and Nature Swiftness. So a very strong lightning build with Echoes of the Great Sundering and maybe Lightning Rod or double Stormkeeper. It's up to you. There's a really cool ice variant here where your next 4 Frost Shocks are going to cleave, and they're going to do a lot of extra damage. They're going to generate extra Maelstrom, and then you're going to be popping Earthquakes on top of that, and your Chain Lightning is going to do additional damage to those enemies. A very cool way to do damage in Mythic Plus. And a third way to do damage in Mythic Plus is going to be a fire build that focuses on Liquid Magma Totem, cooling it down with Call of the Elements, fishing for procs on deeply rooted elements with your lava bursts. You're going to have lava surges just ticking all the time. You're going to have 50% crit on your flame shocks. They're going to be ticking 40% faster, and they're going to be generating Maelstrom for you. I just don't see a world where any of this is really bad. I think the only bad thing about this tree is that Storm Elemental is way over here in the boonies and should either switch places with Flames of the Firelord or should just be moved over here, and we should all just acknowledge that if you're going to take Storm Elemental, it replaces Fire Elemental. Like, it doesn't need to be in the same line as Fire Elemental for us to understand that that's, like, I just don't get it. So, and then instead of Skybreakers working with Storm Elemental, just give it its own buff. Genuinely, I'm serious. Just put it here and then give it its own buff right here. Maybe it trails off of Call of Thunder. Put Storm Elemental here, and then Storm Elemental buff right here, and make it so that it, while it's active, it reduces the cast time by plus 2% more. So instead of 3%, you get 5% cast time reduction. I don't know. There's so many buffs you could add to Storm Elemental to make it relevant. All you got to do is just put it over here and get it away from the fire tree. So I hope they do that. That's it, guys, for the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you think about Ele Shaman? What do you think about all the different builds that are here for Ele Shaman? Do you think they're all going to be relevant? The Lightning build, the Ice build, the Fire build with Primordial Wave, the Ascendance stuff. What do you think about all of that? One thing I did forget to mention, actually, is that there's this talent right here called Further Beyond. I'm not sure if I mentioned it or not. I should say it right now. So Further Beyond is really wild. This basically says when you cast Earthquake or Ele Blast or Earth Shock, you extend Ascendance. And I was watching some of the streamer guys. They were saying that they had Ascendance going for 45 seconds without even being level capped. So they didn't have all the additional buffs that you can get to help out, to help this work better. So this might be legitimately crazy. If you can get Ascendance going for 45 seconds or a minute, or maybe just go infinite with it, I think this could be completely busted. So Further Beyond is a very, very cool capstone node, and I think I can't wait for people to play around with it. Yeah, I think it's going to be quite strong. So I forgot to mention that, guys. But let me know what you think in the comments down below about all the stuff for Ele Shaman. You know, are you excited about all the different builds? What do you think about it? Let me know in those comments. I think Ele's looking very, very good. And I can't wait to get my hands on it. So thank you so much for watching. Drop a like if you like these videos. It really helps me out a lot, guys. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I would also really appreciate that. If you want to support the future of what I'm doing here, Patreon is the best way to do that. There are different perks. There's if you get the highest tier on Patreon, there's actually some digital art that we send out every month to the people who are supporting me there. So go check that out in the description down below. Thank you once again. I love you all. I will see you in the next one.